Welcome back to the world's most pointless podcast. Welcome to the Audio Asylum. I'm your host, Joe, and I am super excited today to talk to my special guest. If you're a horror fan, you're going to love this one. If you've seen the movie Terrifier, he plays Art the Clown. David Howard Thornton. Dude, how's it going?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. I've been super excited to do this episode. I actually just rewatched the movie early this afternoon.
Oh, fun. It's quite a crazy movie.
Yeah. Man, it's definitely a trip, man. I think it's different from any other slasher I've ever seen.
Oh yeah. We kind of made it that way intentionally. We want to kind of separate ourselves from everybody else, but also kind of like at the same time, like, stay true to like the classic slashers from the 70s and 80s. So it's like a little mishmash of both, do our own thing and paying tribute to what came before us.
For sure. And you can definitely see that in the movie. Like one of the coolest things I like about interviewing people and podcasting is just like asking about like the journey. So if you wouldn't like mind talking about like when did you know that you wanted to be an actor? Like was there a moment or were there a bunch of moments that led up to you wanting to do it?
Yeah, there were a lot of those. It's been like a whole the whole journey my whole entire life. I mean, basically came out of the womb wanting to do theater because my parents were involved in like a lot of our church theater. Oddly enough, back home when I grew up in Huntsville, Alabama, and like my mom used to direct a lot of the shows. My dad would act in them and stuff like that. And so I started off doing like choir and like children's choir and with little musicals and stuff like that. And then I had fun with that. I'd do a lot of goofy voices and stuff like that at home and stuff like that. And then I when I was in middle school, I was bullied a lot because I went to a brand new school in my 6th grade year, so no one knew me, and that's kind of sucked because I was really shy. That's how I am around people I don't know. I get like really shy and quiet and stuff like that, which probably surprises some people, but I have to feel like I'm in my element. But I was very quiet, and especially being bullied in school, so. My mom was like, well, have your classmates. No, I've never had an opportunity to do that. And she's like, well, this is my 8th grade year. And she's like, your choir program's doing the production of Mickey's Christmas Carol. You do a great Mickey Mouse impersonation. Why don't you audition for it? And I'm like, yeah, okay, sure, I'll do that. And I got the part, and we're doing the show, and things started to go wrong, and I just started improvising on stage instead of just standing there not knowing what to do. And I just started just cracking jokes and everything until we got back on track and had the whole audience just laughing and going along with me. And I was like, I love that feeling because for the first time at that school, people weren't laughing at me, they were laughing with me. And I was like, I want more of this. And so my mom encouraged me to really get involved in like community theater. So I did a lot of that all throughout high school and going into college. But I decided to pursue a career in teaching when I went to college instead of acting because I was trying to be pretty pragmatic with my life because the acting world's not necessarily the most stable.
Yeah, you want to have a good backup.
Yeah. And so I was like, I can. I didn't even think about doing acting profession. I was like, yeah, I can do acting on the side, local community theater and stuff like that. So I was like, at least I can make some kind of living as a teacher, and not a huge living, of course, because teachers don't get paid nearly as enough as what they should. But
oh, dude, tell me about it. I work in the Department of Education, actually.
Oh, so you know all too well. God, yeah. I mean, I got mine in elementary education. So
nice.
Yeah, but I was right before my final year of college. My mom passed away from cancer, and so that, it kind of changed a lot of things for me mentally, and I was kind of in a downward spiral and stuff like that going into my internship. And my mom, when we had our final conversation with each other, she stressed this point to me. It's like, life's too short not to do what you want to do with your life. Don't do what you think you have to do with your life. Do what you want to do with it. And I went back from my internship, and I was struggling because it was a year after she passed away, and then like that month I went back from my internship in school. So like my dog died, my grandmother died, a friend of mine committed suicide, and so there was a lot of stuff happening all at once, and I was basically just having a mental breakdown. And I was doing my story time with my students one day, and I was doing all the voices, and they were all laughing and having fun. And I was like, it hit me then. I was sitting there in the classroom, and it's like, dang, this is what I need to be doing instead. I need to be entertaining people, not teaching people.
Dude, it
So,
is like your story is like crazy. Like I'm getting like goosebumps over here listening to it because I feel like I relate a lot
yeah.
because I got bullied a lot in middle school as well. And when I got to high school, I found like a passion in performing
Hmm.
because I got into a theater class.
Yeah.
And it's funny because after my first day in that class, I thought I wanted it changed. And then a week later, they were like, "We're gonna put you in art." And I was like, "No, no, 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 don't change it." But yeah, man, is it just me or like because you made a point before that I relate to a lot of I'm very nervous around people too, and people
Hmm.
when I say that they don't think it, but I'm very comfortable in a performing setting, even if I think I
Yeah.
suck. Like,
Yeah.
is that like a is that a performing thing with a lot of guys?
I guess so. I mean, because that's the thing. It's like, I mean, back when I was a little kid, when I'd have to do like my solos in the church choir, I would be nervous during the day. But once I was on stage, I felt great. It's
Yeah,
like I never had stage fright on stage. Like as soon as I hit the wings of the stage, I was like pumped. And it's just like I don't know what it is. It's like yeah, especially when I was going through so much of like that dark period of my life. Is like that was a way for me to escape my
yeah,
life, and I liked it. I was like, yeah, I'm not having to be David. I'm not having to deal with the death of a mom or bullying in the classrooms and stuff like that. I was able to be a separate character on in some crazy adventure or something like that just for an hour or so, and I loved it. It was just pure escapism for me. So and plus I loved that feeling. It was like a rock concert for me to hear the
yeah,
laughs and the cheers and everything like that in the audience. Or like even when the few times I would do a dramatic piece, hearing people crying and sniffling in the audience, it's like, wow, this is something. Because that's you don't get that feeling in any other type of career you have. Only in the arts do you affect people in an emotional way like that, and it's pretty awesome. And so yeah, I always felt like when I was on stage, I was in my element. Yeah, I was like I could be whoever I wanted to be, and it's like I had all the power at that point.
yeah. I think I've always said I think anything performing arts related is the best medicine. I don't think there's anything that can help cure a broken heart or a hard time. Like
Uh,
even if you don't perform, if you put on a song or you put on a
yeah.
movie or you go to a show, like you made the analogy to rock concert, like that's like a
Hmm.
big thing I like to do to escape.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Like
I would even just like God, because I had such bad luck with girls back in high school and college. It's like I would get God, I would heartbroken, and I would just go to the piano and
yeah,
just and I would put what I was feeling into whatever I was playing, and it's like I was like, dang, where did that come from? It's just like it can be such a great release. Just even it's any kind of arts, even just doing artwork, painting, whatever. There's this like it's very therapeutic.
yeah, I think that emotional reaction from an audience to whether it's on stage or whether it's a reaction to a video or a movie. Like
Yeah.
I do this, and then I have a YouTube channel. This will be on the YouTube channel as well, but we make
Hmm.
silly videos and like comedy stuff. And just today,
Yeah.
ironically, that we're having this conversation, I was on my way home from the gym and I ran into a buddy like that I haven't seen in a while, and he said he was
Hmm.
going through a hard time, but the videos were cheering him up. And I
Yeah.
was like, that's like so cool. Like
Yeah.
I think creating and performing can fill a hole in a lot of our hearts that like guys like you and me and other people
Yeah.
have.
Oh God. I mean, I completely agree. I mean, I totally believe that the stage and just acting in general is what saved me, because I was like, especially after my mom passed away, and even when I was in middle school, I attempted suicide in eighth grade and stuff like that, and I even contemplated that again after my mom passed away that whole time, because I was just depressed,
Yeah.
just like nothing was going, especially that year or so after she died, when everything was like every shoe kept falling and falling and falling, and I just felt like I was just like, God, something's got to give here. Something's got to give, and it's like just being able to escape just for those few hours, even just in rehearsals, was what saved me. It gave me purpose. It gave me something to do because I might be hurting, but I'm able to bring happiness to other people that might be hurting at the same time. And it's like there's a wonderful thing that happened one time when I was touring with How the Grinch Stole Christmas the musical.
I was gonna ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Please
Yeah,
tell.
I toured with that for 5 years, and we had this amazing experience when we were in Cincinnati one year. We were doing the show, and then our producer got an email from an audience member a few days after we had just left Cincinnati, and he was talking in his letter about how his wife had been suffering from cancer for a while, and this was right before Christmas, and that the gift she wanted that year was to go see How the Grinch Stole Christmas the musical. She was just like that. That was one of her favorite stories, and she wanted to go see that on stage. And despite her condition, she was in the fourth stage, and they had hospice and everything already there for her, and so they brought her to the show and everything like that. And he said that was the first time that he had seen his wife become his wife again after the years that she had been suffering for cancer. Just for that hour and a half that we were doing the show, she became alive again. It's like, and unfortunately, she passed away a few days after the show.
Wow.
And so that was like, he was like, thank you for giving her something, but also giving me a final night out, a final date night with my wife as herself.
That's a beautiful thing, man. That must, as a performer, that must be heavy to hear and read, but
oh yeah, I mean, it still gets me. I mean,
dude, I'm like getting it over here. Like it's beautiful though, man. Like I think that I said it before. I always repeat it a lot on the show when I talk about the arts, like how much it helps people, like how much it means.
And that's why we do what we do. We don't do it just for ourselves. I think if any actor is doing it just for themselves, they're not doing it for the right reasons. I mean, like I love to perform for people. I love it. It's a true passion. It's something that's why I chose to do this as uncertain as a career choice it was. It's because it's something I actually am passionate about doing. And so now that I get to do it as a job, it doesn't feel like a job. It's pure joy. I mean, I might be on set for sometimes 20 hours a day. I'm exhausted, but I'm still having fun at the same time.
Yeah, I was gonna say the old saying is, if you do what you love, it's not work.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Speaking of like all that passion, I had written down in my notes like the horror fan base, like specifically like the Terrifier fan base as well. It has its own big following within the horror community, and you're talking about a lot of the hard times you went through and how performing helped you. Do you see like a connection with the horror community and like that? A lot of the fans deal with a lot of stuff too, and that they could be open about. And does it surprise you the big cult following Terrifier got with the horror community? Like it's a thing now. Like I want to say Art the Clown is up there with Michael and Jason, man. Like I think he's there.
That's what's crazy. It's like, because we never imagined it would become this big. I mean, we were just a very, very small, low budget independent film. So, I mean, we made the first film for about $35,000. That's it. Yeah, so we're like, we thought we had something cool, but we're like, who knows if anybody's going to see this thing. So it exploded so quickly. It's like, that was what was so amazing. And like, what's so cool is like, one of the first people to really pick us up and like talk about us is now our distributor for part 2 is Bloody Disgusting.
Nice.
And they've been with us at the beginning, but that's what it was. It's the horror community itself that made us big, because it wasn't like mainstream Hollywood that was catching on to us. It wasn't the big, movie, sites and stuff like that we're talking about us. All the horror sites, and it was all the horror fans talking about us and spreading the word, and it just snowballed from there. And that's what's so amazing about it, because it's like this wasn't a film that became popular because it was put out by a Hollywood studio that was just publicizing and publicizing and publicizing. It wasn't made big because of big name celebrities or anything like that in it at all. It was purely it was purely stood on its own. And it's a horror film made by horror fans for horror fans. And I think that's why it really resonated with people. It's just like that's what I love about this community. It's just like they're such a passionate bunch of people. It's just like I've learned that from going to different conventions, because I've gone to, like, of course, the horror conventions, but I've also gone to the regular conventions. And there's such a difference in the fan base that you see at these things. It's just like the horror fan base is something else. It's a very dedicated bunch of people, and it's a very friendly and open-minded and
Yeah.
accepting bunch of people. And that's what I think is really cool about it. It's like you get all walks of life that come to these horror conventions, and a lot of these people that you would see look like, if most people saw these people on the street, they would think they were the scariest looking people.
Yeah.
These are the type of people that people usually shun. But it's like at these conventions, you get to know these people, and they're really just cool everyday people. They have a passion for this genre, and they love it, and they love sharing, and they don't care. And that's why that everybody's so accepting of each other at these conventions as well. You have every type of demographic, and it's just everybody has that similar passion for horror. And that's what I hate about that whole stereotype. It's like, oh, these guys are all freaks or something like that. It's like, no, it's
Yeah.
like the horror fans are probably some of the most caring, good-natured people you could ever meet.
Dude, I agree. I've always said the horror, like the rock and roll community and
Mm-hmm.
the horror community, they get such a bad rap.
Oh yeah, they
Like
really do.
and like you said, they're the sweetest, nicest people like on the planet.
Yeah.
I mean, like you get the exception at a rock concert of annoying drunk guys in a mosh pit, but the
Yeah.
majority, yeah,
Yeah, I mean, you still find that one or two douchebags that are out there. That's inevitable. But
yeah,
for the most part of it, they're just the coolest people. I've made so many friends from these conventions through it. It's really cool. It's like, and that also goes for the celebrities too. It's just like it seems like the celebrities that go to the horror conventions are a different bunch of people. They're just like they're very interactive with the fan base, and they're all really cool people. They hang out at the after parties, go to all that kind of stuff. They genuinely care about their fans. I mean, I look at people like Bill Moseley and Felissa Rose. I mean, they're
yeah,
there. I mean, Sid Haig, even though he was so sick, that's something I noticed about him, because like I got to know him just briefly, and because it's like when I started doing conventions, it was like about a year before he passed away, and here he was, suffering like he was. But he would go to make an appearance to the after parties. He was always the first person at the table and the last person to leave at the end of the day. I always tried to beat him to the tables in the morning. He was always there before me. I'm like, dude. And it's like that tells you something, the dedication and the love he had for like the fan base. It's like he wanted to be there. I mean, it was even like a month or so before he passed away, he was still doing conventions.
that's crazy, man. But
Yeah.
that shows how much he loves the fans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it crazy to think like people like get Art the Clown tattoos like a
It's
character you
insane.
play?
It's insane. Like there's so many of them. Like
Yeah.
at first, because Damien and I were floored by that whole idea. We're like, oh my God, someone wants my face on their body for the rest of the life. I mean, that's a commitment. That is a
Yeah.
lifelong commitment you're making to get that on you. It's like, because people don't usually get a tattoo unless it's something they really care about.
Yeah.
It's something that they really are passionate about, unless they're just really drunk one night and they're like, I'm gonna get a butterfly. Something like that. I mean, I don't even have tattoos because I don't know if I want to make that kind of commitment to something on my body. I don't know how my tastes are going to change or anything like that. So that's at Florida. So like we would try to document every single tattoo, and it just got to be so overwhelming. There are just so many of them now. It's just like it's amazing, absolutely amazing.
I love like the passion like you speak with, because it's like exciting that this character that you play, people love it so much that they get tattoos. And now
Yeah.
I was listening to an interview with you a few days ago, which
Mhm.
I gotta shout out that kid's YouTube channel because he's crushing it. He was like a younger guy interviewing
Mhm.
you. But I heard you say that there's going to be an action figure soon, or that there might be already.
Yeah, we have one. Yeah, that was Trick or Treat Studios released a big like 1/6 scale action figure earlier this year. It's fantastic, and we also have the guys from Twisted at Knuckleheads. They're about to release a few as well, but smaller versions and stuff like that. And I think even like Trick or Treat Studios is also going to release a 12 inch, not a 12-inch figure, but a 6-inch figure as well.
Nice.
Which is going to be cool. So I mean, that's insane. I'm like, because I'm such a big geek myself. So like one of my goals growing up was that I want to have an action figure of a character I play one day, and so now that's happened. I'm like, this is insane. This is absolutely insane.
That's like a childhood dream, like coming to
Yeah,
life.
it's like just checking things off the list. I'm like, yeah, this is insane. Like, how many people get to say they have their own action figure?
For real, it's a short list, man.
Yeah, it's insane. So it's like,
it's pro wrestlers and horror guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and the actors involved in the MCU, and that's about it,
Yeah. Oh, one of the things I wanted to ask was you did a YouTube series like it was called Nightwing. Like,
yes,
and
yes.
you played the Joker, and I watched a few of these this morning, and I gotta say, you are awesome as the Joker.
Oh, thank you.
All due respect to Jared Leto and everybody else, like obviously he set the bar amazingly high, but I think we got to call up Hollywood and get you as the Joker. I
agree. I completely agree. Like, come on, dang it, put me in, coach, because that's my favorite, villain of all time, and it's like that's a character I continue to evolve, because I filmed that back in like 6 years ago, and I have done so much more with the character since then to like really add so much more dimension to him since then. It's like, and one thing that's always driven me crazy about the live action versions, like none of these ones that have come out, at least in the past 30 years, have been a comic accurate version. Probably the closest one would have been Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, I
but
agree
it's
with
like
that.
Yeah, even his version wasn't comic accurate by any means.
Yeah, I think that was Chris Nolan's own take on him for sure.
Yeah, and that's what I've always wanted to do. I want to bring a comic accurate version of the Joker to life. Basically, I want to do what Mark Hamill did with it vocally. I want to just like, because I think Mark truly understands the character. He totally understands what makes him tick. He knows how to bring that to life.
Yeah,
it's a pity he's never been able to do it live action wise, because oh my god, just his voice and mate is just it's so good. So of course I put a lot of Hamilisms into my voice.
Yeah, I was gonna say like you nailed the voice like perfect.
He does such a great job with it. I don't want to totally do his voice. I want to add my own thing to it, of course, but it's just like but to me, not hearing Joker without a little bit of a Mark Hamill nature to it is like hearing Bugs Bunny without the Bronx accent. It's just not right. And I have heard that when I was in France. I was watching Looney Tunes cartoons in French, and I was like, this is not the same. This is just it's like, this is no, this is no. So it's like, yeah, that's how I feel like all these different versions I've seen. I'm like, the actors that have, for the most part, except for one, have done a great job with the character, but it's not been the comic. And that's what I want to do. I was like, I want to bring the comic to life. I don't know why Hollywood keeps on trying to do new things with them. I was like, just stick to what works.
The source material.
Yeah, stick to the source material, because like there's a reason this character's been loved for 80 plus years.
Yeah.
It's like, just stick to that. You don't have to try to make him creepy, and that's what really drives me. Everybody's trying to make him creepy. Everybody's trying to do more of the Heath Ledger thing. Like, no, Joker's not about being creepy and weird. He's a showman.
Yeah,
he's very theatrical. He likes to. He's very verbal. He's all about the witticisms and just just messing with people that way. He's not trying to be ha ha, that kind of stuff. No. He's like the ringmaster.
Yeah.
And he's the MC. And like, why can't anybody just get it right? I'm like, come on, put me in. I'll show you how to do it right.
Dude, they have to tag you into that role, because even just the mannerisms like that you have in the YouTube series. And if anybody's listening and watching right now, like, please go check out the Nightwing series. I'll drop it in the comments along with the Terrifier 2 trailer.
Cool.
But dude, I was like blown away this morning. I was like texting my friend. I was like, somebody needs to get this guy in Hollywood for this role right now. Like,
I agree. I don't know why it hasn't happened yet. It drives me crazy. It's like, even when I saw the new Batman movie, it's like, oh man, I could be doing it so much better.
Yeah, you saw the deleted scene they released.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I was just like,
yeah,
God, no, that's not Joker. That's not how he should be. It drove me crazy. I was like, I mean, I understand what Barry was trying to do with it, but I'm like, but that's still not Joker. It's missing that. I like the makeup and everything they had for it. That was cool. It was just missing the bravado that he's needed.
If you could play that character in an adaptation of a movie, what story would you want to tell a lot? I feel, if I could guess your answer, could I guess it?
Yeah, go ahead and try to guess.
Would you say The Killing Joke?
I mean, yeah, that's the obvious one, but like I actually, oddly enough, would rather play him on a TV series. That way I could really spend more time with him, because like the storyline that I would really love to do, it's not something that you can really put into a 2-hour movie. It's something you would really have to flesh out over like a 10 episode arc or something like that. And it's the death of the family that they had about a decade ago, where like after he had cut off his face and reattached it and stuff like that. But because that one really goes in deep with who the Joker is and his relationships with everybody. That's the story arc where Harley Quinn finally just said, fuck this guy.
Yeah.
It's like she finally had it with him, because that's where he like locks her up in this room full of all these skeletons dressed as Harley Quinn. He's like, what, you thought you were the only one? It's like, oh, you never meant anything to me. You're just some means. Like, it's just like, but then it gets into the real relationship between him and Batman.
Yeah,
and that's what I really loved about it, because he kidnaps all of the Bat family because he's upset with what they have done to Batman, that they have weakened him, that they've changed him. And it's just like, no, I need to get rid of all of them, because they have perverted him. And they're like, no, it needs to be the two of us. He's lost his focus. He's lost his edge. It's supposed to be the dance between the two of us. We're yin and yang. We need each other. Yeah. And he's even like, yeah, I will never kill you. I will never kill you. But I want you to kill me, because if you kill me, you break your code and I win.
That's what I've loved. I think it's probably my favorite story arc ever, is that relationship that the Joker has with Batman, because it's literally the testing of a man's morals to no end.
Oh, it really is. And they even had like this moment in there that, like, when I read that, I was like, that really helped nail the character for me in my head on how to play him. Was like, Batman is talking, I think Alfred, or no, Alfred was already kidnapped, but he was talking to someone. I have to go back and reread it, but like it was commenting about the Joker's eyes. And it's like, his eyes, when he looks at me, the pupils dilate. But they don't do that when he looks at anybody else. It's only when he looks at me that his pupils dilate. And he's like, that the only time someone's pupils dilate like that is when they're in love with somebody.
Wow. Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, so, and he wasn't talking about it in a romantic type of way, but it's just that obsession.
Yeah,
with someone. He's that infatuated with that whole idea of the Batman. Like, he doesn't want to know who. I mean, he's already figured out that he's Bruce Wayne. He knows he's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
but that doesn't matter to him, because he knows Bruce Wayne is not. Bruce Wayne is the mask that Batman wears. He's like, no, he's infatuated with Batman. the duality, because that is his creator in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, for sure. One of my favorite stories is the whole Red Hood backstory.
Mm-hmm.
I love that backstory a lot, and I would love to see it portrayed in a
Yeah.
series or in an actual movie.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. It's oh, I mean, like The Killing Joke is such a great story, but even in that he even adds that possibility that this is not actually his real origin.
Which is a great twist on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think he like has a line like I can't remember the line, but he basically lets you know in so many
Yeah.
words like this is one of many ways why I
Yeah,
became
he
who
was.
I am.
It's like sometimes I remember my past one way, sometimes
Yeah.
another. If you're gonna have a past, might as well make it multiple choice.
We got a Joker impression. I was gonna ask for it later, but we got it.
Yeah, it's this I love that line. It's like, oh god, that just nails him, because like, yeah, he's a guy that he's gone through apparently some kind of trauma in his life, and he doesn't want to remember who he was.
Yeah.
And so he just makes up his own. And he's like, yeah, it's like, yeah, that might have been what it was, but I don't know anymore. He's just is that he's that broken. But I'm like, I always say that he's not insane. He's hyper sane. He's on a different plane from everybody else. He is like he truly sees how the world really is. That
Yeah.
none of this really matters. That life is all chaos, and he's embraced it. It's like, yeah, none of what we're doing is actually matters in the grand schemes of the cosmos.
Yeah.
So why might as well just have fun?
The Joker, man. He's my favorite villain of all time. A lot of people
Yeah.
teeter on like him and Venom and stuff, but I'm like, I
Yeah.
think the Joker takes it by a mile.
Oh, yeah, because he's a guy and he knows he's a villain and he embraces it.
Yeah, like that was my big argument with a lot of people over the years. I'm like, but he knows he's a bad guy. Like
Yeah.
I love Venom and other characters, but if they teeter on the line of villain and hero, then are you really a villain?
Yeah, exactly. Joker is a true villain, and he loves being the villain. He would not have it any other way.
Yeah. Oh, I have another question in regarding the characters. When you were growing up, did you watch a lot of horror movies? And if you did, what are your favorite characters, like, or just a favorite horror character in general?
Yeah, I was a little bit late to the game. I didn't really start watching horror movies until my senior year of high school, because my mom was a big chicken when it came to horror movies. And so we didn't watch them. My dad would watch them late at night when everybody had gone to bed on like Sci-Fi Channel. But yeah, we never watched horror movies. And it wasn't until like Scream 2 came out and I was doing a production. Yeah, oh yeah. And like my cast wanted to go see it one night, and I was about to chicken out, but then there was this girl in the cast I had a crush on. She's like, "Hey, are you gonna come to the movie?" I'm like, okay.
That'll do it.
Yeah. And I was like, oh god, please don't let me just chicken out in front of this girl. Oh my god. And it had the opposite effect on me. And I was having the most fun watching that movie, and I was like, this is great. I love this. That's like, why was I always so afraid of watching these movies? Because of my mom. I'm like, oh my god. So it wasn't until like the next year when I went to college that my roommate and I, because he also came from a pretty like family that wouldn't watch horror movies. That they were very like teetotaling, Bible thumping type of family. So but they weren't like the bad type of Bible thumping type of family. They were like the Flanders, just wholesome, sweet, nice people. So that's like, oh, we don't watch murder. So yeah, so he and I would every weekend just rent stacks of tapes and try to catch up with what we had missed out on watching growing up in the 80s, because that was like the prime time to watch slasher movies. It's like, oh my god, we missed so much. So that's what we would do. But yeah, to answer your question, my favorite horror character has got to be Freddy Krueger, bar none. I mean, I think he is the best horror villain ever created. I mean, first of all, I'm like, his background is so messed up. Second of all, is like that whole idea that the infinite possibilities of the character. I mean, it's like it's so much is taking place in the dream world, so you can do whatever you want with him.
Yeah,
you can go as crazy and over the top you can with the kills in those type of movies, because anything you imagine, you can make a reality in the dream world. So that's what's really cool about him. But also, it's just like that whole idea that he is in your dreams, that you can't escape him.
terrified me as a kid.
Yeah, it's a horrible, because like any of these other guys, you can escape. You can get in a car and drive the frick away. You can get out of Dodge and never look back. Freddy, you can't escape him, because you have to go to sleep at some point, because if you don't sleep, you'll die. But if you sleep, you'll die.
Yeah.
That's a horror. It's a, but also he's just so freaking charismatic too. That's you couple all that together. He's just such a perfect character that Wes Craven came up with. It's just like, I don't see how anybody could ever create a better character. It's just like he's everything that's perfect about a great horror villain.
I always say too that we're in this age of like remakes and redoing movies, and I know a lot of people, myself included, want a new Jason like thing to come out. But a conversation I always have with my buddies is leave Freddy Krueger alone.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, you should play Freddy. You should take over for Robert."
You have a lot of charisma. I can see that though.
Yeah, but it's just, I know personally that I can never be as good as Robert was.
Yeah,
that is his role. I'm sorry, he is Freddy Krueger.
Of course,
no one's going to be able to do it better than Robert. Nobody. That's just how it is.
I would love to see him do it one more time. Like I've said that for years. I'd love
Oh yeah. I would love to see it too, but I think he's just tired of having to put on that much makeup all over, over and over. And he's like, I mean, he's well, like in his 70s now, so it's like, hey, he's done his time. He's and this is. But like, I think they just need to, I mean, I love the character so much. I would love to see so much more with it. I just don't think anybody else would ever do him justice. It's just like, you had Jackie Earle Haley, who is a fantastic character actor himself.
Yeah, he's great.
He's a fantastic, but he just wasn't Freddy. It was just lacking that's Robert Englandism to it. It's like there's just something that Robert did with it. It's just like, nope.
Yeah, it's something that just can't be duplicated. I can relate it to like I always say nobody should ever cover one by Metallica, because it's not gonna be like, you know what I mean?
It's like you're never gonna have anybody can out Freddie Mercury. Yeah, it's just like you're never gonna have anybody that's gonna out Robin Williams. There are just certain people that come along and take over a role or something like that, and it's just like that is just the ultimate version you're going to get of that, and you just got to accept it's like, nothing is going to be as good as what this person did with it. That's
of course. You mentioned the Freddy Krueger makeup, which brings me to the question of the Art the Clown process. How long does that take? Is it grueling? Is it
It used to be a lot worse. Like when we first started off, it took about 4 hours or so to put the makeup on, because it was a different thing we were doing. First, I was wearing a bald cap, and that itself took a little while. And then Damien would not pre-paint the mask, and so he would have to glue it all to my face, and then he would have to paint white and let it dry, and then he would have to do all the black on there. So that added a lot of time too. And also the mask that we were using for most of both films was a gelatin mask. And it was a pain to deal with because it's heavier, but also it's very sensitive to liquids. So if any liquids get on it, it starts to dissolve the gelatin. And so the fake teeth that I would wear would make me drool a lot. And so my mouth would just fall apart so easily. I was always having to go back and get touch-ups done. You'd have to like cut up pieces of bald cap just to glue over what had ripped or something like that and paint over it. So I mean that would take so much time. And also you might see like pictures of me with Q-tips in my nose. It's because my nose would run in a lot of the locations we're shooting in because they're so cold. And that if that little bit of wetness would just destroy right above my lip, and so that my mouth would always fall apart. But lately, near the end of Terrifier 2, we started filming with a new type of mask. We started using a foam latex mask, and it works. That holds up so much better. It's so much lighter. It's so much easier to put on. The only thing is, like, you have to have a special oven to cook it in, because it's the fumes are toxic. So, but Damien figured out a way to do that. So it's so much better now. And it's like, so now it takes about an hour to put my makeup on.
Okay, so that's not as bad compared to probably what you had to previously go through.
Not nearly as bad. No, no. It's just like, because I would always have to show up on set before everybody else. Like Damien and I would be there. And so, like, I mean, we would have several days back to back where we're shooting like 16 plus hours. And then we have to be there the next morning to start again. And so we're going off of like 3 or 4 hours of sleep if we're lucky. And so that
Sheesh.
was just like, I don't know how, especially Damien. I got something, he would leave set and then he would have to start prepping for the next day. So there would be sometimes a few days where he just did not sleep. And it was
Yeah.
just like, I don't know how he did it. It just, God, the poor guy. I mean, I remember like one night we're filming part two and he's just over in the corner and he's got his head in his hand. He's got his eyes closed. He's like, okay, rolling.
Oh
And the
man.
scene plays out. He doesn't look up at all. He says, okay, cut. That looked great. Let's do it again. It's like, he was just trusting everybody else because he was just so tired. But he's like, yeah, if ever, if everybody else said it looked good, it looked good. He was just so tired at that point. And it's like, I even know like there was like one night he slept at the location we were filming in because
Wow.
it was such a quick turnaround. I was like, I might as well just sleep. He came in the morning, he was like just lying there on the couch. So I'm like, oh my God, poor guy. It's just like, I gotta hand it to him. Purely dedicated to this.
You guys, I've met a nice chunk of you at the cons, and you and Samantha, and I met Damien, I think, briefly at one of the cons. You guys are like super nice people, by the way.
Yeah, we have fun. Which con did we meet at again?
We met at the Pennsylvania. It was in Pennsylvania, but it was called the New Jersey Con for some reason.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah, that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys are just like super nice and down to earth, and like Samantha was great.
Oh
And like
yeah.
that brings me to like a question too of a like I love like the ending to part one because if you still when I watch it, like I
Mhm.
think she's gonna get you. Like I think like she's like
Yeah.
she's gonna kill. I told her when I had her on the show, I was like, I wanted you to get him so bad. Because you really like the way it's shot and your guys' performances, you really root for her
Yeah.
to get
That
away from
poor
you or kill
thing.
you at the end.
Oh, that poor girl. It's like you look. It's like she was just trying to study for her
Yeah,
finals
yeah, right.
or midterms. It was her midterms, and like it's like she's just trying to help out her sister, give her a ride, and this is what happens to her. It's like, I mean, actually, it's like when because I people sometimes like, oh, part one doesn't have that much of a plot. I'm like, actually, it does have a
Oh, it
plot.
does.
And it's the Killing Joke type of story. It's the whole story about how one person has a very 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 bad day
Yep.
and it reduced a sane person to lunacy, and that's what you see happen to Victoria. You
Yeah.
see what happened, what caused her to flip out and kill that talk show host. You see what deformed her and like why she went crazy, and
I think
that's the whole story of the first film.
I think that's I know you can't say much, but I think that's what makes part two really interesting
Mm-hmm.
because the only thing she told me was that she was in it, and she was like, I can't say anything else.
Yeah, she's in it. She's in it. It's like we have some fun ideas for her, especially going forward.
Oh
So it's just
man.
like, yeah. So it's like, oh yeah, it's like, yeah, she's in it. I will confirm that, and Damien's confirmed that too because he posted
Yeah.
a picture from set and everything with the newer makeup he did for her and stuff like that. So it's just like, yeah, I mean, Samantha's great. So she's such a rock star. She's so much fun to work with. It's like I knew she was going to be awesome to work with because like my first night working with her was when I was doing the Buffalo Bill scene
Oh,
with the boobs. So it's like I come
yeah.
out and like, hi, I'm David. These are my boobs. And some people will probably like, what have I gotten myself into? And she just started cracking up. She's like, this is freaking awesome. I'm like, okay, you were going to be so much fun to work with because I like how I like your worldview and everything like that. You were awesome, and we had so much fun working together on both of these films. Like I absolutely adore her. I mean, I adore everybody I've worked with. We've been so lucky with the cast we've had for both films. It's just like everybody. Like Damien has done a great job casting people that work they're so easy to work with
Yeah.
and fun to work with. Like there's no one's had any egos or anything like that. No one's been difficult or anything like that. Everybody's just been fun. Everybody's been very willing to do whatever we need to do for the job too. Because like, yeah, sometimes we have to do some crazy batshit stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, what are we doing again? I cannot believe we're doing this. Okay.
The scene, the famous hacksaw scene,
Mhm.
bro.
Oh God,
That's
Catherine.
up in
Oh my
my
God.
top 3 favorite horror movie kills of all time. It's up
Oh
there.
yeah, it's just like Catherine went all out for that, and like that's a very compromising position and a scene to be in for a woman. I mean,
Yeah.
that's hard. I mean, it was like because I think there were some other people Damien had also looked into for the part, but they just did not want to do that scene. They did not want to expose themselves in that vulnerable state and stuff like that. And Catherine was like gung ho about it. It's like this is going to be something people are going to talk about.
Yeah.
Let's do this. This is going to make history. Let's do this. It's like, yeah, it's going to kind of suck having to do all that being upside down and naked and stuff like that. But it's like, we got through it. It was a tough night. I still remember like the two of us when because we filmed that on Staten Island, and
Wow.
we ended up taking the Staten Island ferry home the next morning to get back into the city. And both of us are just dead tired. We're both covered in blood. We just couldn't scrub
On the
everything off
Staten
of us.
Island ferry.
Yeah, yeah. And we're just sitting there like, oh my God, what did we just do? Holy shit. And we knew then, we're like, we filmed something that's going to make history. Where it's like,
Yeah.
this is going to be something else. This is something I got to hand it to her. It's just like she went all out for it. It's just like this. But we have a similar actor in part 2 that totally went out and went balls to the wall for the scene, and that I think people are going to be talking about this scene just as much, if not more, than the hacksaw scene.
Oh
That's
man.
just, it's nuts. I call it the yellow room scene. It's like when you see a yellow room, you know, oh God.
Yeah, I remember
That's
at the con, I said to you how much I loved the kills in the first one, and
mhm.
before we departed, you put your hand on my shoulder and you were like, "Wait until you see what we do in the next one."
Yeah,
I
yeah,
was like, "Oh man,
yeah. It's this scene is nuts, and it took us about a week to film it.
wow,
There's Damien went overboard on prosthetics for this. He wanted this to really be a showcase of what he could do with practical effects. And I'm like, this actor that had to be there for 5-6 days going full out for this kill scene. I have to hand it to him because oh my God, because this actor is such a sweet, quiet, reserved person in real life, and what you see this person do on screen, and just how crazy they went on this, it's like, wow, that's wow. Because I was even like, how this person's so quiet in real life and so sweet. How are they going to handle this?
yeah,
And that's what I love about acting. It's like, you know, you can totally flip a switch and be a totally different person than you really are. And this is what this person did. And it's like, damn, you were good. You are so freaking good. I was even like that on set. I'm like, you are so good.
man, I'm excited to see the movie. It comes out in the
Yeah.
fall, right?
Yes, it comes out in October. We haven't nailed the exact date yet because I think they're trying to decide if we're going to come out right before Halloween ends comes out or right after it comes out.
Gotcha.
We're trying to figure that out. Like, what is our best bet? Like, how do we want to play this?
Man, I'm super excited for the movie, man. As we wind down, I had a few fun questions.
Okay.
But one of them before I get to those is, do you see like yourself playing Art the Clown going forward after part 2, or is that something we can't
Oh
really
God,
touch on?
yes.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, and like I will say there's a we're trying to decide where exactly we're going to put it, but I'm hoping they do what I want them to do kind of like what they do with the Marvel movies and have like a nice coda during the credits or something like that. So we we leave things open for
Nice.
things like we did in part 1 because we're not done with Art yet. There's so much more to do with this character, and I love the character so much. He's just like, yeah, but you know how that is with these horror slasher villains. Is like they got to keep coming back somehow.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can't
Yeah,
completely write them
you,
off.
you can off them in the movie, but let's still find a way to come back and stuff like that. And I think we've come up with a really creative way to do it. Even both films, I think we've come up with some creative ways to keep bringing him back and stuff like that. Because I'm like, yeah, I will continue to do this character as long as I can. Like I love the guy. He's
That's
so
awesome.
much fun. He's such a fun character. He's like evil Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, that's a very good way to
Yeah,
put it. So
yeah.
your mannerisms and your body language when you play them are awesome, man. Like one of my favorite things when I was showing my friend a few months ago is in the beginning of part one when you're in the pizza place and you go like this with the smile. I'm like, that's fucking creepy, but it's also kind of funny.
Yeah, yeah. I that's what I love about it. He's a mischievous little bastard, and it's just like I kind of look at him. He's a huge fan of cartoons. He brings that stuff to life. I put a lot of myself into him, I guess, in that way. It's like because I love playing cartoonish characters and stuff like that. I love that kind of humor, slapstick, and all that kind of stuff. So I feel so fortunate to be able to play a character that I can do that with. You
Yeah.
don't see that a lot on film anymore, especially with slapstick comedy and stuff like that. You don't, but to actually do that with a horror film's new.
Yeah, it's a different twist. I
Yeah,
that's why I love art so much. It's so different from anybody else because he's silent, but his body language speaks volumes, though.
yeah, yeah. It's a fun challenge. I love it.
What's your favorite cartoon character? Speaking of that,
Oh gosh, that's a hard one. Scott, I mean that's my thing. I love cartoons, but I would say definitely like Bugs and Daffy are two big ones for me. I'm like I just love the dynamic between the two of them. I mean, separately they're great, but together, oh my god, they're so good. It's,
yeah,
it's like that's a great comedy duo right there. Because I especially love good comedy duos. There's something else like it, especially when you have someone that's more the straight man, and you have the other one that's the one the joke's always on and stuff like that. You have Martin and Lewis and Abbott and Costello, all that. Laurel and Hardy, all that's like I love that kind of comedy. So I think that's why I love Bugs and Daffy so much. There's something great there. I love Animaniacs as well. I
oh,
mean,
I love that cartoon. Yeah.
just Warner Brothers in general. Like there's something great about Warner Brothers. But outside of that, I mean, I've really started to get more into anime recently.
Oh, okay.
And my new big huge love is Luffy from One Piece.
Oh,
I, I
okay.
I just love that anime. I'm like 800 episodes in now, and I'm like,
Wow.
I don't want it to ever end.
My
It's so
friends have been
good.
trying to get me into anime. I gotta start somewhere. It's called One Piece.
One Piece, yeah, it's so good, especially if you love like superhero type stuff. Even though they're not
Okay, cool.
superheroes, but they have superpowers and stuff like that, and that's so funny. It's just very, but there's something like anime is I don't know what it is with Japan, but my God, they're so good at just coming up with really creative storylines,
Yeah.
really creative characters that you just love. And it's like so much of the stuff that we have here in the U.S. is so by the number, but there's just
Yes.
something they're so smart, they're so well written, so complex at the same time, but not overly complex. Where it's like, oh wow, this is too hard to understand, but it's like, but still like this, the character development. They take their time with the characters to
Yeah.
really develop them, and it's like a lot of these episodes of One Piece. I mean, like it's like you have an epic battle going on between like Luffy and some other pirate character for you know 8 9 episodes. It's like it's one
Wow.
huge battle that just keeps going and going and going. And in most series, they would just do that in one episode, but they
Yeah.
just stretch it out because they just do so much with the characters to build up the relationships and everything. They take the time with it. That's what I like about it.
Long-term storytelling. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Which is the
And I
best
mean,
kind of storytelling.
they'll bring characters in that were like they were in an episode like 400 something seasons prior, and they bring them back again later on. You're like, oh my god, that deals with that from this, and it's like, oh, this is girl, it's so smart. It's like, someone was really thinking ahead.
I gotta check that out, man.
Yeah, it's so good. It's I mean, I've subscribed to Funimation, and that's where they have a
Nice.
lot of these anime sites like that, like My Hero Academia, Death Note's really
That's
good.
the one that my friends told me to
Yeah,
watch.
yeah, Demon Slayer. Actually, I just recently heard the Duffer Brothers, from Stranger Things, are wanting to do a live action Death Note series, and I'm like, oh my god, I want to
That
play.
sounds cool.
There's this one character. He's like this demonic character that he's like oh, he's a Shimigami, if you know what those are from like Japanese folklore. But he's with the main character the whole entire time, and he's just this. Oh God, I love the character so much. I'm like, I want to play him so badly. I got the right physique for him. I'm like, oh my God, I want to play him.
That's funny because one of my questions I had written down was, besides the Joker and Art, what character would you really want to play? Would that be it?
Oh yeah, he would be great. I mean, I would love to do, of course, Joker. I mean,
Yeah.
that's I've always wanted to do a live like stage adaptation of like Nightmare Before Christmas. I would love to play Jack.
Oh my God,
I
dude.
mean, I think that
I
would
could
just
see
be
that.
because I miss being on stage, and I think that would just lend itself so well to a Broadway musical. It would just like you could do some really cool things with animatronic, not anim, but like puppetry and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like get someone like Julie Taymor who did Lion King on Broadway. It just to get that kind of creative ensemble involved with it, something magical. I mean, that would sell tickets like that. I mean, that would last forever on Broadway. That would do so well. I don't know why they've never done it, but that I would. I've also wanted to do a reboot of The Mask, but do it as a series and base it on the actual comic books, because like the Jim Carrey version is like a very sugar coated version of the comics, because the
Yeah.
comics were very dark and gruesome and violent, and I'm like, oh, that would be so much fun to do. So those are a few of the roles I would love to do out there.
Yeah, I can like see you playing both of those roles great.
Thank
Like
you,
it's
thank you.
um I have like a funny question.
Mm-hmm.
Uh if Art the Clown was a pro wrestler, what would his entrance music be?
Oh, I think the Sound of Silence would be a great one.
Ooh, that's
Yeah,
a good answer.
yeah, because it starts off so great too. It's like, "Hello, darkness, my old friend." Just like that would be so appropriate. Of course, sending the clowns would work well too.
Ah, that's a good one.
Yeah, just something that just is an interesting juxtaposition. He's like, because most people would think it'd be like circus music or something like that, and I'm like, well, yeah, that would be fun. But I think something like that would be something, or even like some kind of classical music, like Moonlight Sonata or something like that. Just something that just seems totally outside of what a clown is.
I love that, man. I like this question too. Is another funny one. Art the Clown's favorite snack and David's favorite snack.
Oh, Art the Clown's favorite snack is Soylent Green. That's the easy one. My favorite snack, oh my God, ice cream. I would say
Nice.
I love ice cream. It's just like I way back in the day when I got out of college before I moved to New York, I worked at Baskin Robbins for about a year, and then I worked in an Italian cafe where we made our own gelato for another year, and it was just like, oh my God, I love ice cream and gelato. I'm just like, that's just.
What's your favorite flavor, ice cream flavor?
Yeah, that's funny because like I noticed that I used to use that as a personality test with people, because when I was working at Baskin Robbins, I noticed certain personalities would come in and order certain flavors of ice cream,
Okay.
and so I could tell a lot about people's personalities by what they ordered. And sometimes I would just see how someone would act, and I would like, okay, I would make bets with my coworkers. I'm like, I bet they're going to order this, and they would, and I'm like, see, told you. But I mean, I like I think probably my favorite is like I love chocolate chip cookie dough a lot.
Me too.
That's a great one. There was also this other, because people don't know this flavor usually, but there was a flavor when I worked at Baskin Robbins. It's called Love Potion 31,
Ooh, that
and it
sounds
was
interesting.
this white chocolate ice cream with a raspberry ribbon, and it had dark chocolate pieces in it with raspberry
Oh,
filling. It was just, oh, so good. It was so good. And there've been a few places, like I think Haagen-Dazs has a white chocolate raspberry ice cream they do that has like the chocolate truffle pieces. It's very close to that, and that's a really good one too.
Nice. Oh man,
Yeah.
you made me want ice cream when I get off.
I know, I
I'm gonna get
know. I have a Cold Stone down this just like a few doors down from me, and I
Nice.
I don't go in there that often though because it's so expensive. But I went in there just
Yeah.
the other night, and I had this thing like something loving from the oven, or it is just like cake batter ice cream that had like fudge and like
Oh man.
chocolate chip cookie dough pieces in it, and it was just so good. I had it in a fudge dipped waffle cone bowl, and I was like, oh god, this is gonna go straight to the hips, but it's totally worth it.
Yeah, right. I have a place up the block, and I get a chocolate peanut butter cookie dough ice cream, like at least like once every other
That's
week. It's
good. That's good. Yes,
uh,
I love it.
your favorite band and Art the Clown's favorite band.
Oh god, Queen's mine. I love
Nice.
Queen.
That was my
Yeah,
mom's favorite band.
yeah. I mean, I love a lot of like, yeah. It's like my love for rock and roll, especially from the 80s and 70s, has grown so much more over the years and stuff like that. Because I grew up in a lot of 50s and 60s music because that was what my parents would play in the car all the
Yeah.
time. Yeah, so it's like I love that music. They would also play a lot of musicals and stuff like that too. So like Les Mis, Phantom of the Opera, all that kind of stuff. But as for Art, his favorite band, I would say probably. Oh my God. Let me think here.
It's a hard question.
Nickelback. I think Nickelback would be a great one for him because everybody hates Nickelback.
Oh, that's hilarious.
That's evil. It's like, or Sharon Lois and Bram.
David, dude, it's been so cool talking to you, man. And once again, like thank you for like just being brave too to talk about like your struggles
Oh
in the
yeah, no
beginning of the
problem.
episode.
I think that's good for people to hear because it's like like it's it's something a lot of people go through. It's just like unfortunately a lot of people don't realize that, and they don't go seek the help. They don't go find people to talk to, and like I mean, and there've been famous people that have dealt with those problems. I mean, you look at Robin Williams.
Yeah.
It's like that's how I think that's how he dealt with his problems. He was a performer. That he dealt with his issues by bringing joy to other people. So I think it's good for other people to know that they're not the only ones out there that have struggled or are struggling.
Yeah, it's important, man. I'm very passionate about mental health, and like I said, I went through bullying as well when I was
Yeah,
younger, and I've had my fair share. So
kids suck.
yeah,
I,
kids do suck. I know I worked
I
at a school,
yeah,
but kids suck.
yeah. I have to say because my 20th high school reunion was the year that Terrifier came out, and it
Yeah.
was like the month after we released on Netflix. I have to say that was probably one of the most satisfying things I ever got to do in my life. It was kind of every bully geek's dream come true was to go back to their high school reunion and be like the shit all of a
Yeah.
sudden.
Hell yeah.
It was so funny because there are so many people like, oh my god, and I'm like, yeah, you guys used to push me in lockers. You guys would not give me the time. You would never invite me to parties or anything like that. And one of the most satisfying moments was this. There's this one girl, like back in the day, she was one of the hot shit cheerleaders. Wouldn't give me the time of day, looked down upon me. And one of my friends there, Jeff, he's one of the kids I even looked out for because he has some different disabilities and stuff like that. My sister is mental and physically handicapped, and Jeff has like a missing bone in his jaw, so his mouth is crooked and stuff like that. He's had so many surgeries trying to fix that as well, but people bully him so much, and yeah, he's had a hard life. He's had a hard life, but he's always upbeat. He's a very good guy, and so he's like, "Hey, Dave, can you bring me an autograph?" Something. It's like, I'm like, yeah, of course. So I brought some of my autographs, and I'm signing the autograph for him and a few other people at a table. And that cheerleader I was talking about comes over, and I will say, time has not been good to her. And she comes up, and I can tell she still has that snooty little condescending attitude. And she comes up, and she's like, "Oh, what are you doing over here?" Just like, "Oh, isn't that cute?" Type of like condescending. Like I'm signing autographs. Like,
Yeah. Hell
oh,
yeah.
wait a minute. Wait, that's you? I'm like, yeah, that's me. And she's like, wait. That's on Netflix right now. I'm like, uh-huh. It's like, wait, that's you? I'm like, yes. She's like, oh, hi, I'm such and such and so and so. And I'm like, oh, hi, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't remember you. We had a class of like 400 people. Of course, I remembered her, but it was just like one of those things like, yeah, no, I'm gonna just like make it look like I didn't remember her. And
Dude,
she just,
that
she had this like, didn't remember me, and she just kind of walks away like, uh, uh. And my buddy Jeff's like, oh my gosh, that was amazing. I'm like, dude, that felt so good.
dude, that gets me hyped because like, yo, that's a win for like guys like you and me everywhere.
Yeah, it was such, and that's the thing I realized at this reunion is all of us that were bullied back in the day. Because I am from Huntsville, Alabama, like all of us that were the geeks in like band and choir and theater and whatever, we all moved away and
Yeah.
did cool shit with our lives. Like, I noticed that when we were at like the after party, there was this one big huge bar we went to, and we all just all of us that went to that, every walk of life from our high school class was at that thing, and like we got there after all the cheerleading squad and the jocks got there, and we sit down at the table, and they're all kind of looking at us kind of condescendingly, like, "Oh, who are these guys?" I'm hearing them talking. They're all talking about, "Oh yeah, we just stayed here." Like, "Yeah, I'm a stay-at-home mom, and yeah, I sell car insurance and blah blah." And these are like the hot shit people back in the day that the world was going to be their oyster.
Yeah.
They never left. So yeah, they're all just trying to relive those days in high school. Still,
Yeah. I
they're
know
like,
a
"Oh
lot of
yeah,
people
remember
like
when I
that.
scored that touchdown and stuff like that?" I was like, "Our high school football team sucked the whole 4 years I was there. What are you bragging about?" But then I'm like, I look at my friends and like, yeah, this person is a big producer out in Hollywood. This person works for a very well-known senator in D.C. This person has their own business up in Seattle that's doing well. It's like yeah, we went out and actually did things. We're living our best life now.
Yeah.
It's like those other people that were the ones that gave us hell during high school. That's when they peaked in.
Yeah.
And I think in some ways that was kind of motivation for those of us that were picked on. It's like, yeah, I was like, let's go out and just do something cool. This we can do something more than just this. There's got to be more to life than just this, and that's what we did. And that was just such a very nice realization. It's like one of those things where I wish I could go back in time and just tell myself back in 8th grade when I was getting bullied so much, I'm like, dude, one of these days, those people are going to be thinking you're the coolest person in the world,
Yeah.
and they're not going to be doing shit with their lives.
The good guy truly does always win in the end.
Yeah, it might take 20, 30 years, but you just never knows. That's how I always tell people. It's like, that are going through all these problems, and especially when they're bullied in school, it's like, just focus on you. Focus on what makes you happy. Don't worry if those people saying what you're doing is not cool and stuff like that. Because you know what? People used to say theater wasn't cool for me back in the day. It's like, oh
Me
god,
too.
this
Yeah.
geek over here. Now I'm doing movies, and I think that stuff's cool. And I'm like, yeah, I got probably one of the coolest jobs in the world now. So it's
Dude,
like,
for real, the coolest job.
yeah. As I say, the geek shall inherit the earth.
Dude, I love that. I'm gonna keep that one in the memory vault
Yeah,
and tweet that one.
yeah,
But
yeah.
David, like, dude, thank you so much for doing the show, man.
Oh, you're welcome.
I want to say one final thank you when I end the recording, but just thank you so much, dude. And if the people want to follow you from my small fan base that might not know, where can they find you?
Oh yeah, well, yeah. Thank you all too for following me and watching the films and stuff like that. Of course,
Of course.
Terrifier 2 is coming out this October, as I said
Yes.
earlier. I also have another movie that I filmed with the Terrifier crew that's coming out next year called Stream, not Scream, but Stream.
Stream, yes.
Yes, and we have a lot of big horror celebrities in that one too. So like everyone from like Jeffrey Combs, Dee Wallace, Tony Todd, Danielle Harris, Melissa Rose, Dave Sheridan, Daniel Roebuck. God, so many people. Like, there's so many people in this movie. It's insane. So that's going to be fun. And I also recently filmed a Christmas horror film based on a very popular Christmas story that I can't totally reveal yet, but I would love to tell you who I am playing in it. It might make your heart grow 3 sizes.
Oh man, I'm gonna shut my mouth. But
so yeah, that's supposed to be coming out this Christmas, hopefully. So exciting. So yeah, but if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook under David Howard Thornton. And yeah, that's it.
Awesome, guys. Check out Terrifier if you haven't. Please go check it out. It's on Prime Video. And also Terrifier 2. I'm going to drop the trailer in the comment section here on YouTube.
Yes.
And follow David. Leave a 5-star review here on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. Subscribe to our YouTube channel where this podcast will also be, as well as our other very silly comedy videos. Take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. Peace and love. Later, guys.